Hey, welcome to The Explainer. It is officially tax season, and for so many of us, that means one thing. A refund is coming. But this year is different. There's a perfect storm of issues brewing in Washington that could put a serious delay on you getting that money. So today, we're going to break down exactly why your 2026 refund might be late, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it. Let's start with a number, $3,167. That was the average tax refund Americans got last year. And let's be real, for millions of households, that is not just some extra spending money. That's essential. It's rent, it's paying down debt, it's building up savings, or, just catching your breath.
So that's the billion-dollar question, right? When are you going to get your money? Well, this year, the answer is way more complicated than it should be. We're talking about a government shutdown, a huge backlog, new tax laws. It's a mess. So let's start with how things are supposed to work in a normal year.
To really get what's going so wrong this year, we first have to look at how things normally go. Because in a typical year, the whole IRS refund process is actually a pretty predictable machine. Okay, so the doors opened on January 26th. And if you file electronically and use direct deposit, the IRS's big promise is to get you paid within 21 days. As you can see here, if you filed in late January, you'd expect to see that money hit your account in mid-February. Simple, reliable, but that's just not the story this year.
Yeah, predictable is not the word for 2026. That nice, neat timeline we just looked at, it's about to slam right into a wall. And the first brick in that wall is a partial government shutdown.
The shutdown kicked in on January 31st. Talk about bad timing, right? It's the exact moment millions of people are starting to get their tax documents together, and that immediately throws the IRS into the state of limited operations, kind of like low power mode.
Think of the IRS right now as having two different brains. You got the automated, robot brain. That's the part that's still humming along. It's grabbing your e-filed return, it's pushing out direct deposits. But then you have the human brain, and that's the part that's pretty much offline. So if your return needs a person to process a paper form, answer a question on the phone, or review a flag, well, good luck. Those folks are furloughed.
And look, you don't have to take my word for it. The IRS itself put out a statement that basically said the only refunds going out the door are the super simple, totally clean electronic ones that a computer can handle by itself. If there's even one tiny hiccup, your return gets tossed onto a pile that nobody is there to look at. But here's the really crazy part. The shutdown is just one piece of this puzzle. Even if everyone went back to work tomorrow, the IRS is dealing with several other massive problems all at the same time. First, the backlog, 129%. Just let that sink in. That's how much the pile of unprocessed returns has grown compared to before the pandemic. So the IRS was already starting this tax season from way, way behind, buried under a mountain of old paperwork. And here's the kicker. While that mountain of work was growing, the number of people available to actually do the work was shrinking. A report to Congress shows the agency's workforce is down by 27%. So you've got way more work and more than a quarter of the staff gone? You don't have to be a math genius to see that's a recipe for major delays. And if you thought that was it gets worse. Believe it or not, millions of people still file on paper. We're talking 11 million paper returns last year. Each one of those needs a human to open it, scan it, and process it. And with paper processing completely frozen by the shutdown, well, you can just picture the mailbags piling up.
And the cherry on top of this chaotic cake, a brand new, complex tax law. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act just passed, creating a ton of new rules and forms for everybody. So you're asking an agency that's understaffed, backlogged, and partially shut down to suddenly implement massive changes? It is literally a perfect storm.
Okay, so a shutdown, a massive backlog, staff shortages, and confusing new laws. What does this whole mess actually mean for your bank account? Let's get personal and figure out what this timeline really looks like for you. So this chart really lays it all out. If you're in that top category, you e-filed a simple return with direct deposit, you are in the best possible shape. You've got a shot at sneaking through the automated system. But the minute you add a complication, things change. Claiming certain credits, the law already makes you wait. Have an error or an identity flag? Boom, your return needs a human, and that human is at home. And if you filed on paper, you can see it right there, indefinitely delayed. You're in limbo until this shutdown ends.
Look, here's the simplest way to think about it this year.
If your return needs a human being to touch it for any reason, you are at high risk for a serious delay. Filing on paper, making a typo, claiming specific credits, needing to amend a return. Any of these things kicks you out of the automated lane and into a waiting game with no clear end date.
Okay, so hearing all of this, it's pretty easy to feel helpless, right? Like your refund is just stuck in this giant government mess. But that's not totally true. There are concrete steps you can take to navigate this and give yourself the absolute best shot at getting paid quickly. So let's run through the playbook.
These 4 rules are your best defense this year. First, file as early as you possibly can to get your place in line. Second, file electronically. This is the big one. It's how you stay in that automated fast lane. Third, use direct deposit. The IRS is trying to get rid of paper checks anyway, so just make it easy for them. And finally, and this is so critical, double and triple check everything. An error-free return is an automatically processed return. One simple typo could be the difference between getting your money in a few weeks and who knows when.
You know, when you step back and look at all of this, the shutdown, the staff shortages, the backlogs, the new laws, it brings us to a much bigger question. Is this chaotic tax season just a fluke, or is this the new normal? Is this something we should all expect every single year now? That's the real question we're left with as we all wait for those refunds to finally hit our accounts.